Well, speaking of the agenda, let the St. Cloud Metropolitan Transit Commission Board is now called to order. It is Tuesday, September 19th, 4 o'clock, and let the record reflect that everyone is here. All the commissioners are represented. And any additions or changes to the agenda?
Yes, I'm going to table item 9 and item 10.
So you just want to remove them from the agenda?
Correct.
9 and 10 will be removed. Any other changes?
No.
Okay, seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, discussion, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda is adopted. Consent agenda, items 5 through 8. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Seconded, discussion, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, the consent agenda is adopted. Open forum, is there anyone here to speak in your opportunity? Seeing no one, we will move on to general business. Item 9 and 10 have been removed, so item 11.
Good afternoon,
We have
Commissioners.
recognition
Oops,
of
sorry.
service. Oh, that's right. Turn it over.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. We just want to take some time to recognize Steve Williams. He's been with Metro Bus for 25 years now. Steve started with us August 31st of 1992. At that time, he drove bus for about 15 years. He then went into street supervision. He was a street supervisor for 3 years before he went into IT. He's been in IT now with us for about 7 years. So it's just a couple of notes about Steve. He handles all things IT for us, including Rangers, DVRs, data, the infamous MetroNet.
Infamous keyword.
Yeah, exactly. The phone system.
But he couldn't send me my agenda. I'm gonna blame him.
Well, so good.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Steve also handles all the ridership. And one of the best things that I love about Steve, he's got a ton of great qualities, but his attention to detail is second to none. And I just want to thank Steve for all of his efforts and everything that you do here to go above and beyond all the time and recognize your 25 years with Metro Bus.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, congratulations. That's quite a challenge. Also, quite a path and different opportunities, which is cool to
Yeah, no, it really is nice.
see.
Yeah.
That's the part that we do the 3-time birder picture.
Oh, yeah, she got a new camera the way it looks too.
This one takes 4
That
cameras.
was all set up
I
perfect.
know, I'm sorry. But this group is gonna be bigger than that.
That's all right.
I'll try to remember the divot in the carpet.
No, that's all right, we'll put it back.
You're,
That way? Yep, and
All
now
right.
everyone coming close.
we should be in the middle.
Yeah.
We can all handle it. You're the center of attention here.
Yeah.
On behalf of Paula, I have to get you a certificate.
Oh, well, awesome.
Oh, you
Appreciate it.
And,
Take a picture.
Oh, yeah. Take a hand first.
and wait for
Take a picture, and I
yeah.
can squeeze in
That's
somewhere.
right.
Yeah, I guess.
Squeeze him in there.
This way? This way?
There you
Yeah,
go.
we can move that.
No, say he has a dog, we'll have a light.
Okay, so I need everyone
Closer?
to like have like that way. I don't want the mirror in the picture. So if you guys
Oh.
like picture that and yep.
The other left.
And then everybody keep moving that way.
Keep moving the other left.
Because you're still.
Part of the ground.
All
You know,
right.
some of these guys come from Sartell and Sacramento. So they gotta take that into consideration.
You can cut that end out, that'd be great.
1, 2, 3. 1. Thank you.
I think you're in Stock Rapids, aren't you?
I am in Stock Rapids, you're outnumbered.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Started when you were 10, right?
Yeah, just a ball, I think. Yeah, it seems like.
Did you ever get pulled back into the bus or anything?
They've tried, but we won't.
Have they? Yeah. They're afraid if they stick me in there, I might not come back out.
There goes the safety record.
Well, thanks again,
And
Steve.
actually, Steve was like a rodeo champion when he was a driver.
Oh,
Really?
Really?
Nice.
Wow. That's cool.
You should compete against the mayor next time.
There you go.
Still have it.
Pressure's on.
Well, thanks again, and as we move on to item number 12, the 2018 through 2027 capital improvement plan review.
Yeah, Commissioners, this is something that you had requested at our last commission meeting, to kind of take a look at what our 10-year capital improvement plan is. So this is just kind of a list of basically what we've got coming down the pipe in the next 10 years or so. The total capital cost for the next 10 years is about $46 million, with 9.2 million of that anticipated to be local share. Just kind of a side note, we now have a new federal ruling. It's called the State of Good Repair requirement. So we're going to have to start following kind of some more stricter guidelines as far as asset replacement timeframes and kind of the level of age of our assets and the condition of our assets. So that's going to be moving forward. We need to take a look at our capital asset policies to make sure that that's all follows the requirements of the State of Good Repair. Basically, we are kind of catching up. We had let some of our smaller buses go beyond their useful life cycle, so we are trying to catch up with that this year, last year, and next year, kind of our big catch-up years for that. So just kind of a quick summary. In the next 10 years, we plan on purchasing 33 large buses, 33 small buses, scheduled improvements for each of the facilities, vehicle replacements, and then just kind of overall maintaining our current state of operations and following our replacement schedule, just making sure that we don't let assets go for an extended amount of time beyond their useful life is kind of what the FTA ruling is kind of requiring us to do. So if you have any questions.
Are we financially better off to get rid of them at less miles, those buses, or is there no value? Our police cars, we used to drive until we had Elmer's glue holding them together, and then we got nothing for them.
Right.
And now we don't hold them as long, and you get more for them for resale, so.
And that's kind of what they're looking at. I mean, plus then the maintenance obviously isn't as great on those things too. I mean, Ed's done just about everything he can to keep some of those buses on the street, and so that's kind of a battle that we have ongoing, so.
All right, any other questions or comments on that? All right. Item 13, transit system comparison.
Again, Commissioners, this is just something that you had requested at the last board meeting, so just kind of wanted to pull together some of the information. I basically just used the kind of 4 qualifiers that we have to go by from MnDOT, and then used the agencies that we're compared to within the state. So that's kind of where the graph came from, or the chart came from. Cost per passenger, revenue per passenger, passengers per hour, and then cost per hour. So again, this is just kind of where we land as compared to our other systems within the state of equal size.
Well, appreciate that.
But
Yep.
by pulling this together, quite a variance in that cost per hour, St. Cloud Metro Bus versus the others you noted. Anything stick out at you by pulling that together? That
In the paratransit or fixed route? If the paratransit-
fixed route.
Fixed route. A couple of things come in. I mean, that's great that our cost per hour is down,
Yes.
the lowest. But then flip side of that, our paratransit is the highest. And so we're kind of trying to take a look at the biggest thing is we want to make sure that our expenses are being distributed
Allocated,
correctly.
right.
Yep. And so that's one piece of that. And then the other piece is, okay, if our cost per hour really is that low, then why? And if our cost per hour for paratransit is then that high, why? What are we doing different between the two systems?
Right.
And we're just kind of starting to take a look at some of those
Okay.
things, doing some of that, analysis.
Is this something we have looked at in the past, or is this
I
a
have
new way of
never
looking?
prepared this for you, so I don't know if it had been, Libby, so
I've
you
never
might
seen it
know,
before, that's why
so.
we were looking at wanting to see how we compare. It's a better way of judging, because otherwise those numbers mean nothing.
Yeah, how do you know where we're actually
To us.
falling in at? The other thing I want to point out is our revenue per passenger. That's something that MnDOT does watch closely, and because we're low, on the very low end of that, we need to really consider increasing our fares. And so that's something I'll be bringing kind of mid fiscal year, probably March, April, for us to, once I have a chance to actually take a look at what we want to do and where we want to land, I'll bring that forward probably, like I said, springtime time period, so that we
Sure.
can consider that.
Yeah, on the paratransit, certainly we're double a lot of them, so
Right.
hopefully it creates good conversation between us and our peers on
What's, yeah.
what the difference is.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? In comparison, if not, move on to item number 14, contract negotiations update.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Just wanted to give you a quick verbal update on where we're at with contract negotiations. We had hoped to be able to come to today with contracts for both AFSCME and Teamsters ready for ratification, but we're not quite there yet. We've had a number of work sessions with Teamsters. We're pretty much done with all of our language updates or revisions, but we're still working through some of the financial pieces. We have another meeting scheduled on Thursday. Hopefully we can, maybe optimistic, but hopefully we can come to a TA on most of those financial issues, and then we'll have a final negotiation session before we come back or come to the board with the contract for ratification. AFSCME, we've got a TA on all of the items, so that one would be ready to go as soon as we're ready to go with Teamsters. Looking at schedules, for everything to be effective 10/1, the first pay period in October is actually up for all of hours worked in September, so we actually have a little bit of time into October that we can still work on coming to an agreement. With that being said, if we could move the October board meeting, which right now is scheduled for the 17th, to Friday the 13th. That would allow us extra time to meet with Teamsters, come to a tentative agreement, and still get everything that we need to get done in time for payroll to be processed. That includes the October 1st and any hours worked after October 1st. So I don't know what your schedules look like, thinking maybe in the morning on the 13th, if that works for everybody.
Work for me.
Yep, sure.
I'm gonna do maybe a 9 o'clock.
If Ryan's buying donuts.
You know what? I could gladly buy donuts from Picture.
I probably won't be able to be there. I'm
Okay.
trying to get a vacation set for that week, so.
Okay,
Right now it'll work for me, but I have a tentative I may be up in Duluth,
okay,
but I won't know till later this week.
okay.
It's after 9, should be fine. What's the an urgency for us to, I mean, is there, what's the requirement for us to ratify that?
So,
It's not a,
with our software, we have to manually calculate anything that doesn't come through in the standard payroll cycle. So we would have to literally manually calculate every single employee that we have for every variance in that time period. You'd have to go back and calculate. So we don't have to have it done by that time, but
Ideally, if we can have everything in the system prior to the payroll running that has the October 1st hour, any hours worked after October 1st, then Libby doesn't have to manually calculate any back pay.
I can do it if I have to.
she can do it if she has to, but if we can avoid that, it would save.
Yeah,
It's very, very tedious to go through and do it for every single employee.
and I feel like we're pretty close. Like, I feel like we'll have everything worked out by then, and so it would be nice to not have to calculate things manually if we don't have to. Is that fair? I think.
have we always said come up this close, or in the past have we, I don't recall us ever getting that close to ratifying to actually paying. So the contract expires,
September 30th.
okay. And, okay. And if there's no contract, it just continues.
Yep.
That incentive to have it done earlier.
But we bumped up the work sessions, and sessions now are actually going from 7 a.m. to like 4 p.m. So we're actually meeting 8 hours, just union negotiation, union work sessions, just trying to hammer out the last minute financial piece. And it's just, you know, we meet for 2 hours and then we'll caucus, and then we'll meet again, then you'll caucus, and then it goes back and forth like just traditional 8-hour day. So we've been doing that now at least 2 days a week, just trying to keep things on course. But once again, if they want to caucus, we have to allow them to caucus and allow them to meet, and they present, and we come back and present our proposal. And if some numbers change, then, you know, Paula has to work the numbers on the back end, and she'll present it to Sunday and the team. And then Sunday takes that with the team and goes into the work session, and then we just go back and forth.
There were significant variances between
The
where
financial
we
piece.
are versus
Right,
where they are.
Where we started and where they started was significantly different, especially in the financial areas. And there was quite a bit of language that we were working on initially before we even got to the financial piece.
Commissioners signed their contracts too that day for big bonuses.
Yeah.
Come on, Dave.
Yeah.
No, that has a financial impact, no.
Yeah, I'm somewhat comfortable moving, you know, to ratify. What if we don't ratify it? I mean, there's that, you know, we can just say no. I haven't, you know, how much time do we have to contemplate, you know, obviously it's within the parameters of the budget.
Right, and
Right.
what we've been doing, what we did with AFSCME is, you know, we had all the work sessions, and then we did have a final negotiation session where Rick came and reviewed the tentative agreement. We would do the same thing with Teamsters once we get to that point, before they come before the board.
You said the two unions.
AFSCME and Teamsters.
Okay.
So Teamsters is the biggest group, so we have the operators, both fixed route, paratransit, and then we have a call center staff, and our transit center staff, our dispatchers. And then AFSCME are the 6 street supervisors that we have.
And you'll have anticipating both contracts at that point. Yeah, it's a huge problem. So that would be we would move that meeting up to that point.
Right, so we have the full board meeting just instead of the 17th, we have a full board meeting on
Okay.
Friday the 13th,
Yeah,
and
fine.
then we just still, if all goes well, we'll have contracts brought forth at that time.
Okay. So you have 3, is that, you have quorum, really? So,
And then we'll follow up, you know, of course, we'll follow up as things progress, but we just wanted to just put it out there in case
Sure.
there were schedule conflicts that we knew about ahead of time, then maybe we won't look to have it on the 13th, and maybe we just pick a different date, but everything depends on how the sessions go.
Yeah, I just maybe used to, we usually ratify our contracts year after they're over. We get them done ahead of time.
The Libby won't be a happy camper.
Yeah.
It's your fault.
It's your fault.
Save money. You don't always have to go retroactive, it can go forward. It's a little incentive in coming to
That's true too.
an agreement, so. Any other discussion on the contracts? And then you'll just let us know about the meeting. We don't have to take any action on that, just
Right,
let
follow
us know
up.
when you want to meet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, department updates, operations. Operations update.
We've
Good afternoon, commissioners and attendees. I have put together an operations update for the group. So we'll go through this real quick. So first thing we have, preventable accidents. This is comparable through September 13th of this year as compared to last year. So all of 2017 and first nine and a half months of 2006, all of 2016 compared to 9.5 months of 2017. So down 16%. Customer service complaints are down 41%. And again, that's as compared to the same time frame. We had our National Bus Rodeo Champion, Todd, as you are aware, that took that picture here, so that was in June. We had our State Bus Rodeo Champion again, Todd, and David Peacock took second in the small buses, and then Jerry and Mike. Jerry took fourth, and Mike took fifth in the big bus side of things. So that happened in July. Again, as you're aware, we had our Pete hit his 40th year here with Metro Bus in August. We made some significant changes to SESU service with the start of the new school year, and that was based primarily on budget concerns on their end. What it essentially equated to, without getting into the different hours changes, we basically took away one full bus during the day. And we shortened up some hours on the ends of things, as well as took away the late night. And again, that was based on their budgetary needs. And we haven't seen a huge impact. We were concerned when we made these changes that there was going to be some students that some overflow buses, or that there were going to be some students that were going to have a significant longer wait while the bus went around the loop. And we have not seen that. We think that either A, the one bus and the shortened hours were enough, or B, they're figuring it out somehow on some of our other routes that service the Miller Center and that. So we put together a team of 12 employees and participated in the United Way Bus Bowl, and we took 15th out of 31 teams. So we thought that was pretty good. Next year we're going to be prepared, and we're going to be pulling 120 feet in the garage before the event. So we'll get first or second next year. We wanted to beat who were the champions last year? ATS. We wanted to beat ATS and New Flyer. So we'll be getting ready for that next year. Lady Slipper Lot operations are set to move back to the Transit Center on the 25th. We haven't had any significant glitches that we've run into. Couple complaints from some employers in the area that we've ironed out with some of our customers, or potentially some of our customers going into their businesses, things like that. We really haven't had any significant concerns operating out of the Lady Slipper Lot. It's gone pretty smooth. We put up quite a few signs, as you can see down there. Some of those yellow signs, they're big and bold, and marketing put those together, and that's been very helpful. So we're happy to move back into the Transit Center. We're happy to go home, and we've made some significant changes there as well to make that a little bit more welcoming. So we're excited about the move back in. As you're aware, we've got our garage expansion that's set to wrap up here. Ed had got an update this morning that it looks like everything's going to be complete and finished for us to operate out of there hopefully by Friday. We've got our employee appreciation event on the 26th that's coming up, as well as the ribbon cutting ceremony that same day. So that, from what Ed says, that seems to be moving along and going to be done here and wrapped up by the end of the week. We've got the next section of my presentation focuses on some replacement and expansion buses. So what I tried to do is I tried to categorize them. So it looks like we've got some 3 MCI buses that are scheduled to be coming in here hopefully by the end of September. Talked with Gary a little bit. He mentioned at our meeting this morning that those are delayed a little bit because of some concerns with, they put in some wrong materials, so they're going to have to replace those materials. So we're looking at probably October timeframe instead of September bringing those in. 2018, we're set to get 2 more, and it sounds like those are, if I remember right, those are going to go into production here shortly, so we should get those early 2018. 5 CNG New Flyer expansion buses set to come early. I think that's, again, early 2018. 3 New Flyer CNG replacement buses in 2018. 2 Champion buses expansion. Those are actually at Hoagland right now, going through the final inspection. And so we expect those either by the end of September here or early October. We're going to get 5 DAR, or 5 dial-a-ride and 1 fixed route Champion bus. My understanding is that those are, I'm trying to remember if those are in production right now. I think they just finished up the final specs on those. We should get those here in sometime in December, but before the beginning of next year. And then in 2018, we'll be getting 5 dial-a-ride Champion expansion buses, or excuse me, replacement buses. And then this is our latest project that was finally completed. This will be mounted early next week, but it's a safety board. What we've been relying on right now is we put together a map, and each day we go in and we take a dry erase marker and we change the days that we've been accident free. And this was kind of something that we really thought would be good to put up in our garage, so that when our employees came through or went to park their buses or whatever, they could take pride in seeing how many days we've been accident free. And so this is going to be a major advancement to show our employees where we're at with things and keep them motivated and to continue to be safe and accident free. So this is pretty awesome. Any questions? Perfect. Thank you.
That's good. Thank you. All right, any other business? Business? All right.
Adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second, moving second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? We are adjourned at 4:27.